My friends, during the supper, he took the bread, broke it, and said, "This is my body." Then he took a cup of wine and said, "This is my blood, to be poured out on behalf of many." Now, this strange and simple ceremony was a foreshadowing of the sacrificial death of Jesus. You and I see it today in retrospect. It is now a fact of history. Such was not the case when Jesus was with his disciples in the upper room. The cross was not yet a reality for them, but Jesus saw it coming. That first sacrificial meal, the Last Supper, was really a preview of Calvary. Every time we partake of his body and blood, we see the cross through the eyes of Jesus. Now, look with me for just a moment, and let's try to see what Jesus saw. First, we see the true meaning of sin. Now, do not let the word sin slip through your mind as if it pertained to nothing but religion and that's it. Sin is not something that the church invented as an excuse for its own existence. Multitudes who care little for the church are firm believers in sin. Why does government spend millions of dollars on police forces, prisons, and courts of law? Why do automobile manufacturers equip cars with locks, ignition keys, and security devices? The primary reason is the basic reality of sin. What is it that all great literature sees as a central problem of all human life? Whether you are reading the Bible or the best-selling novel, the answer is sin. Sin is no religious invention. We would have to deal with sin even if we burned every Bible, if we boarded up every church and silenced every pulpit. And why is it so wrong? Why is sin so tragic? It's because of this. In the sacrifice of Jesus, sin poured its suffering not upon the guilty, but upon the innocent. Their sin took the loveliest life ever, spat upon it, mocked it, beat it, and nailed it to a cross. Sin is at its worst when it brings a curse upon the innocent. Have you ever seen a child who has been beaten or abused? Every sin we commit builds a cross on which someone innocent will die. When we look at the cross through the eyes of Jesus, we also see the true meaning of salvation. And once more, do not think of the word salvation in terms of just in religion. All people everywhere are in need of salvation and are searching for it. Why do we have schools? To save us from ignorance. Why do we have jobs? To save us from poverty. Why do we have hospitals? To save us from sickness. Why do we have friends? To save us from loneliness. You see, all of life has something to do with salvation. It just so happens that we don't always call it that. Thus, the church is not totally different from other institutions, except that we are concerned with the ultimate issue of saving people from wrongness to rightness. You see, our message of salvation is aimed at the problem which lies at the center of all human problems. The Bible calls it sin. If you have a better word for it, then use it. But be realistic enough to recognize our need to be saved from it. So the sacrifice of Jesus has spoken to you and to me. In a sense, we have made our bed of sin, and we must lie in it. But divine love has come to spend the night. Jesus broke bread, gave it to them, and said, "This is my body." Then he handed them a cup of wine, saying, "This is my blood, to be poured out on behalf of many." In that sacrifice, our sin is made graphically clear, but also our salvation is made gloriously possible.